Okay, this is for Araya. Larry, Bendeco, Johannes von Sloop. A story by Larry V. Illustrated by Mark K. A long time ago, in a town not too far from here, there lived two brothers. One brother was called Larry Bendeco Johannes von Sloop. The other brother was called Bob. They were brothers and therefore shared the same last name, but when anyone tried to call Bob Bendeco Johannes von Sloop, Bob would always say, "Please call me Bob." And if someone happened to say, "Oh, and you must be his brother Larry Bendeco Johannes von Sloop," would always say, "Please call me Larry Bendeco Johannes von Sloop." As you might imagine, the way these two brothers felt about their names was very similar to how they felt about many, many things. Larry Bendeco Johannes von Sloop liked formal and fancy, and felt that made them special. Bob liked things simple and friendly, and felt that made them nice. Larry Bendeco, Johannes von Sloop, and Bob were both really great bakers. Awesome bakers, fantabulous bakers. And they could bake just about anything. And after years of practice, they were ready to open a bakery. Bob said to Larry Bendeco Johannes von Sloop, "Hey, Larry Bendeco Johannes von Sloop, would you like to open a bakery with me?" But Larry Bendeco Johannes von Sloop thought Bob's baking was simple and plain, and he told him so. So the two brothers decided they would each open their own bakeries. When Larry Bendeco Johannes von Sloop opened his bakery, he decided he would only bake the finest of cakes, elaborate cakes, eye-popping cakes, very fancy schmancy cakes. They would have decorations that were like art. People would comment that they were like the finest paintings they had ever seen. Unfortunately, they tasted like paintings too. "I don't care how they taste," Larry Bendeco Johannes von Sloop would say. "I want people to be impressed with how they look." When Bob opened his bakery, he decided to make simple breads and cookies. They were delicious. One day, a fire broke out in Bob's kitchen. "Oh, shoot," thought Bob. Luckily, a customer saw the fire and they quickly rushed up to find help. "Help! There's a fire at Bob's," they yelled. A shopkeeper nearby heard the cry and immediately dialed 911. "Help! There's a fire at Bob's," she said. "Thanks," said the dispatcher, who immediately connected to the fire department. "Go to Bob's. There's a fire." "A fire at Bob's?" responded the chief. "We're on it." "All hands on deck. We've got a fire at Bob's," called the chief, and the firemen jumped into action. In very short order, they had the fire out at the bakery. "Thanks," said Bob. Whew. A few days later, a fire broke out at Larry Bendeco Johannes von Sloop's kitchen. "Oh, shoot," thought Larry Bendeco Johannes von Sloop. Luckily, a customer saw the fire and they quickly rushed to find help. "Help! There's a fire at Larry Bendeco Johannes von Sloop's," they yelled. A shopkeeper heard the cry and immediately dialed 911. "Help! There's a fire at Larry Bendeco Johannes von Sloop's," she said. "Pardon?" asked the dispatcher. "I said there's a fire at Larry Bendeco Johannes von Sloop's." "Okay, thanks," said the dispatcher, who immediately connected to the fire department. "Go to Larry Bendeco Johannes von Sloop's. There is a fire." "A fire at Larry Bendeco Johannes von Sloop's?" responded the chief. "We're on it." "All hands on deck. We've got a fire at Larry Bendeco Johannes von Sloop's," called the chief. "Where?" asked the fireman. "Larry Bendeco Johannes von Sloop," said the chief. And the firemen jumped into action. As you can imagine, all of the Larry, Bendigo, Johannes von Sloops had slowed things down quite a bit. So when they got to the bakery, it was too late. Shoot, said Larry, Bendigo, Johannes von Sloop. Losing his bakery got Larry, Bendigo, Johannes von Sloop thinking. It made him think about why his brother's bakery was saved and his was not. It made him think about a lot of things. Maybe fancy and formal is not so special, and maybe simple and friendly is not so plain, he thought. When Bob saw what had happened, he said to Larry, Bendigo, Johannes von Sloop, "Hey, Larry, Bendigo, Johannes von Sloop, would you like to come work with me in my bakery?" Larry, Bendigo, Johannes von Sloop replied, "That would be awesome, and you can call me Larry V." Now the two brothers worked happily away in their bakery, making delicious breads and cookies in a simple and friendly and nice. Every once in a while, Larry V takes time out from his not-so-busy day to sit and write stories. One day, he sat down and wrote this.